The first thing that we have to have for our children, high expectations. And when I say high expectations, I mean really. Because a lot of times we can talk about high expectations, but in reality, our kids can read our body language. All right? Ladies, how many times have you been out? Can't you tell whether a guy is really broke or not, no matter what he says he has, or what kind of car keys he has? Can't you tell who really has money? All right? Fellas, can't you tell, no matter what a woman says, whether she's really secure in herself? Can't you tell within a matter of minutes as to whether she's confident or not? Okay? That means we pick up on vibe. Our children can really tell what our expectations of them are. A lot of times, we will say that we want you to make A's and B's, but is it really the expectation? And I'm going to say something that I know you already know. In this day and age, if your children are not on honor roll and don't have the absolute destination after high school, then they're in trouble. The goal of high school is no longer just to finish. I mean, you're supposed to finish high school. That's just a minimum. But that's not the way many of us were raised. It used to be you finish high school, you could come out, you could work for a company. If you did a great job, you could move up the ranks and get paid a lot of money. You could work at a factory, you could work at Bell South. But those days are gone. Right now, in order to make any considerable money on a long-term basis, you have to have education. The world has changed. We're no longer the age of industry. We are now the age of knowledge, information, and technology. So that means that we have to instill in our kids that it is pretty much junior college, college, military, trade school, or bust. Those are your options. Notice I did not say staying at home. That is not, y'all laughing, but I'm saying that is a major issue. If we don't launch our kids out of it, we don't tell them early on, listen, when you finish high school, you're going to go somewhere. Unless we opt to have you stay home because we don't want to pay, room and board, for the most part, you're going to be out of this house. So the best way to motivate our kids when it comes to high expectations is really exposure. Okay? That means exposing your kids to where they're going to be. I know you all have already done it because you're in this program, but each one of your kids, starting at an early age, the earlier you start, the better it's going to be. If you start with your elementary school, age kids, and you start showing them college campuses and saying this is where you're going to go, they never forget that. They automatically think this is where I'm going to go. Matter of fact, if you take them down to that college, they will tell people at 7, I'm going to go to Tuskegee, or I'm going to go to Clark. When I grow up, I'm going to go to Morehouse, because you've exposed them. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. See, I can tell you all about a college. Is that as powerful as actually taking you down to a college campus? Which one is more powerful? All right? So for our kids, they need to be able to see what's happening after they graduate high school. How many of your kids have been to work with you? All right? I would encourage, if you have the opportunity, to take your child to your job or someone's job and let them sit there for at least 4 hours, 8 hours a day if you can. Because what I found, and this is question and answer, I don't want to sit there and just preach to you all. How many of you kids, how many of you realize that a lot of your kids have no idea what the work world is all about? No idea. None. But how would they know? How would they know? See, I know I'm not old, but back in the day, we were working at 13, 14. You may not be getting paid, but you were working. And so you understood that if there's anything that's going to happen, you're going to work. My mom sat my brother and I down at a young age, said, TV works, radio works, y'all work. Everything in this house works. So sitting around and being lazy is not an option. Now I'm laughing, but it was instilled at an early age that you had to work. That's just what it was. That's how it's going to be. So one of the things I definitely want to recommend when it comes to high expectations, if there's any intervention that I have seen work time and time again to really get kids engaged in school, is making them get a job. When your kids turn 14, 15, 16, they should work. Now, you may have ideas about whether they should work during the school year, but definitely in the summer, they should be working. Let me tell you why. That is the first time they have exposure to the real world. They have no idea of what it... See, right now, you tell them to hustle, you're just being anal. Right now, you tell them to do a good job, you're just being mean because you mom and getting on my nerves. But once they get into a world in which your ability to hustle, your ability to do what you say, come on time, dress appropriately. When you do that and they see that's happening and you can get fired, and how difficult it is to make $100 in a week, then they start to value school. If they never have that exposure, they really never really take school seriously. Now here's one thing I want to make sure that we do. So when we start talking about high expectations, that means that when school starts in a couple of weeks, you sit down with your kids and you go over what grades they're going to make in each class. Goals. What is the expectation? When you all go to work, don't the bosses pretty much tell you what they want you to perform and what goals to set? Do they allow us to set our own goals? For the most part, they tell you what the expectation is. So for our kids, before school even starts, let's sit down and talk about what the expectation is in this house. Does that make sense? Now, when they do research about what builds highly successful students, they found something that was astonishing to me. They found it didn't matter who your parents were. It didn't matter how much money your parents made. It didn't matter their level of education. There was one thing that mattered when it came down to deciding whether a kid was going to be successful. How high the expectation of the parent was. Isn't that amazing? The expectation level. I attended a conference maybe about a month ago. Black Enterprise was in town. And Earl Graves was talking about some of the parenting lessons. And his son, Butch, who now runs Black Enterprise magazine, he said they have a deal. Everything that we do in this house, we're going to do it to the highest level. In school, all I ask you to do is to do your best. And because I know you're highly intelligent, that means that there's no class that you should ever make a C in because you're highly intelligent. Okay? Now, I'm very happy with the fact that you're a multi-star athlete when it comes to football and basketball. But at any point that you make a C, I'm going to pull you off the team. Is that clear? He said, sure. So all throughout high school, except for his second semester junior year, he went without making a C. So second semester junior year, he made all A's, a B, and a C. GPA was still above a 3.4. So he went to his dad and said, hey, all right, look at his grades. I made 3.4. You happy? And he says, I already found out about your grades. And I want to let you know that I already called the basketball coach and you played your last game effective yesterday. And he said, what are you talking about? I have a 3.4 GPA. I mean, the A's balance out the C's. I still have a 3.4 GPA. Don't you think you're being a little ridiculous? And he said, no, because we had a deal. No C's are to be brought into this house. And this is a story that was told by Butch. Now here's what happened with Butch when he left. He never got another C. He is one of the few African Americans in the world to get an undergraduate degree from Yale and a graduate degree from Harvard. And now he runs Black Enterprise magazine. When we start talking about high expectations, that's the level of expectation that we have to set for our kids. It is not a willy-nilly do the best that you can. It is not, oh, well, you tried. It is like, when I say A's and B's, I mean A's or B's. Because this is the time where we can instill in them, it's about doing your best. It's about excellence. When we set the level of expectation high, they will meet it exactly where we say it is. Some of our kids have slippage because we really don't expect them to make honor roll. We would like for them to, but we don't really expect them. Now the difference between liking and expecting happens every Friday. How many of you work? Okay? Mine? On Friday, do you like to get paid or do you expect to get paid? All right. So on Friday, what happens if you don't get paid? How many of you, some of you like, I'm blocking that idea. I can't even imagine not getting paid. If they say, you know what, we're a little short, all right, and we're going to have to pay you in about 2 weeks, and you already put the work in, how many of you will receive that and say, well, okay, I understand? All right. You're a good man, all right? Seeing is believing. I want to see it on Friday. Okay. You would say, well, you need to sell something. Their computer needs to go. Something needs to happen. Because I already worked, I need to get paid. That's expectation. Liking, I would desire you to make honor roll, and expecting you to make honor roll, two different things. When we do that, we have half the battle. So that means that we're monitoring them on a regular basis. That's number one.